Invitation to reflection. Now, as we're getting closer to year end, and the time is coming for us to take our 30 minutes to reflect on what we would like out of next year. This is where we move into the practice of taking time for ourselves to reflect in terms of contribution, in terms of meaning and purpose. What contribution would I like to make next year? First and foremost to myself, because like in an airplane, the first thing that they say to you is put the oxygen mask on yourself. And that's why the invitation in terms of reflection and contribution is about you, me. What are we bringing to the rest of the world in terms of how I can build my own capability going forward? And of course, in terms of my contribution, I also want to reflect on what is the contribution that I'm bringing to others, to my friends, my family, my loved ones. And the questions that I invite you to reflect on in terms of taking that 30 minutes is firstly looking back in a retrospective. What about last year did I find meaningful? Did I find where I made a contribution, positive or negative? What were my highlights? What were my lowlights? And what were the lessons that I learned that I can now take forward into next year? And looking forward into 2023, what are the things that I would like to focus on? What are my priorities? Because of course, if I'm unable to identify what my priorities are, then I get dragged into other things. And again, that comes back to in terms of me, what are my priorities in terms of building my own capability to make a contribution? And what are the priorities in terms of others? And what would I like to do differently next year? Where would I like to be in 1 year from now? What are the things that I would like to have seen changed? And how can I be more intentional? What are the small little things that I will be able to start to do very easily each day or each week that will enable me to start to build those capabilities over the year to come? And very importantly, who am I going to turn to in terms of support? Who can check in with me in terms of doing those little things every day or every week? That is where a clear request can come in, just to say, can you check in with me in terms of how I'm doing? That accountability that will help you to be able to ensure that you continue. Like they say in Kenya when you're climbing up Kilimanjaro, pole pole, slowly, slowly, one step after a time, making sure that you're taking that step regularly to get to the summit by the end of next year. And the final thing in terms of what we're going to be focusing on in terms of our reflection as well is really important in terms of how am I renewing myself? What would I like to do in terms of the re-energizing, reinventing myself? Also taking time to reflect on that and in terms of where I would like to get to by the end of next year.